Welcome back to another episode of the Plate Up Podcast. This is episode 11. Once again, we are back. It is D High, the Goob, and JD Hugh. What is going on, fellas?
How's it going?
What's going on?
Nothing much, guys. We are going to go ahead and kick it on over into the weekly catch up. Mr. JD Hugh, how was your week and what you been playing, man?
Week's been good. It's been a solid week at work this week. What I've been playing, kind of just rocking out Warzone. I think we skipped Valheim night, went straight to Warzone. I got a tournament apparently on Thursday that I didn't know about until yesterday. So guess we're doing a tournament on Thursday as well. But other than that, it's been a pretty solid week. It's been fun. I've got to level up some guns in Warzone. I actually made quite a bit of progress in Warzone. I think past couple of weeks it's just been like onesies and twosies and just getting a couple of matches in here and there. Really have gotten kind of away from it. My play style is kind of showing that as it's kind of sucking up really bad. But other than that, it's been pretty good. Goof, what do you got for us?
Kind of the same. Just been playing Warzone. We skipped Valheim this week. Yep. So I was invited to a custom duos tournament, just kind of for fun. The person who kind of put it together shot me a message on Discord, and she said, "Hey, she was, Frozen, Frozen, and like he's looking for a partner. Are you okay playing with him?" I said, "Yeah, that's fine." So I reached out to Frozen, and he goes, "Well, I picked Merc to play with, so I'm like, all right, I have a better person anyway." So I messaged JD. That's going to be the fun of this tournament is we get to hunt down Frozen and Merc and take them out. It's going to be awesome.
Really, what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our streams and just hunt them down.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty
We're just going to stream snipe and
reverse
try to
stream
find
snipe.
them. But so yeah, I'm looking forward to that this week. But big news from the movie front: the Coup has finally seen Get Out. It's no longer blocked here. We can talk about it all you want. My quick movie review, awesome movie. That was incredible. Even though like some of it was spoiled because we had talked about it on the podcast, it was still like enough to, I still really enjoyed it. There's still a couple twists and turns I was able to figure out, and the biggest, maybe not the biggest twist, but like the big twist of the girlfriend, I kind of figured out within the first 5 minutes. But I didn't tell Meg, so she was completely blown away. I'm like, yeah, I saw that one coming. But really good movie. We saw the alternate ending as well because when we rented it, you could see the alternate ending. It came with Jordan Peele's commentary, and I kind of get why he switched the ending. But all in all, great movie. It definitely lived up to the hype and lived up to your guys' recommendation. That's it. See?
This week's been pretty chill for me, man. You know, we still got the new baby in the house, so life revolves around her, man. So, you know, it's just kind of me doing the daily dad stuff, trying to help out the missus as much as possible. Um, I got my second COVID shot on Monday. Damn near died Monday night. You know, so there's that. Like we all seen Black Panther, so you remember the scene where he drinks the heart shaped herb, and then they bury him under sand. That's exactly how I felt Monday night. Like pretty much just died, man. And so good though. I mean, everything I recovered pretty well from it. I feel good now. I mean, this whole week I've been pretty active doing yard work or working out, whatever it is. And then Friday took my oldest baby girl to the park for a daddy-daughter date. You know, we went and grabbed some lunch, and then I took her to the park to hang out. But other than that, man, I've been played some Warzone, still Ghost of Tsushima, and I went and picked up the Ring Fit Adventure for Switch. Man, that is funner than you think and way more exhausting than you would ever think, man. It's a workout based game, and it's exactly what it is. You go on an adventure, but you use the little Ring Fit device thing with the Joy Cons in there, and you have to work out in order to progress through the game. And dude, when I tell you I was like drenched in sweat after like 30 minutes, you know, I wore my Apple Watch just to count the calories and end up burning like 200 of them in 30 minutes. So crazy stuff, man. But I dig it though, man. It was fun. But that's it for me on the week, man. But
I've been looking at that. I want to kind of try it out. It looks fun.
Dude, you should, man. I'd highly recommend it. If you have a Switch, I think you should, man. Check it out and give it a go, man. It's a really good workout. I underestimated how hard it would be. So I put it on like the highest level it can go, and it kicked my ass that first day.
All right.
But that's it on the weekly catch up. And that is going to circle us on into the news corner. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into this news. Mr. Coov, what is your news for this week, sir?
So, a cult classic that is a must watch in the Coov's household every Halloween. I know this is a little bit early, but the news came out. Hocus Pocus is getting a sequel. So they had announced it a little bit earlier this year. It's always been a rumor for the last couple years that they were going to do a sequel. Some thought it was going to be a prequel and talk about how the Sanderson sisters came to be, how they got their power. But the truth is, no one knows what the plot's going to be. They kept it tightly under wraps. But they announced that big news is coming here in the next few weeks about the movie. They're going to enter pre-production and start filming here soon. Their only concern is Sarah Jessica Parker, who is also going to be doing a Sex in the City revival. So they're worried about her schedule conflicting. But that little hint about Sarah Jessica Parker tells me they're going to have the original three actresses in it again. So I'm kind of excited for that. I loved Hocus Pocus as a kid. I watch it every Halloween because you just have to. It's like one of the Halloween movies you have to watch. So that's my big announcement. Hocus Pocus 2 is coming.
And it's kind of a little bit like Hallmark, right? When the fall comes around, Hallmark starts coming on. Hocus Pocus is one of those things that just gets turned on. It's not a scary movie by any means. It's just a good movie. You know, that's it's entertaining to watch. You can watch it 100 times. It's not like you get spoiled by anything in it. It's just really good. And the fact that they're making a second makes me kind of excited, but also a little nervous because you never know what you're going to get out of a second. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's trash. I'm just hoping they don't trash that movie.
Yeah, I love Hocus Pocus, man. It's one of my favorite Halloween movies to, watch, and I do watch it every year. I've watched it with my kids now at this point, and so, it's kind of like passing the torch on to them. And I'm in it as long as they go ahead and bring the original three back, man. The Sanderson sisters have to come back, all three of them, man. I don't think you could do it with two. You can't do it with one unless you just replace everybody. So if everybody's back, I'm in, say less. So I'm excited about that one as well. JD, give us your news for this week, sir.
Yeah, so my news story is about the Snyder Cut. And Jack Snyder was recently doing an interview and said that Warner Brothers Studio tortured him during his version of the remake. And what they were constantly doing was handing him notes and schedules and different things they wanted him to do and causing him to be really, really agitated. He said it was bizarre, some of the things are said. Obviously, we know that Warner Brothers had said that he was difficult to work with. He's saying, I had no part of this. You all were making it difficult to work with. Warner Brothers has also not released any figures related to the Snyder Cut and how successful it was on HBO. Intentionally, according to some rumors, to kind of settle down the fan base that is, hashtag bring back the Snyder Cut. They are trying to stop that movement. They gave him $70 million to make this. They were hoping it was going to be a flop. Everybody knows it wasn't a flop. The ratings don't show that it was a flop. And this whole thing is it's just this constant arguing and bickering amongst this. It just shows that this likely won't get a sequel because they don't get along. And I think where he really needs to go is the HBO studio and get away from Warner Brothers because obviously Warner Brothers, like you said before, what's stopping you? Just all you're waiting for is a bunch of cash to come in. They apparently don't care. Obviously, the DC universe has been a very sensitive subject for Warner Brothers because they have not been able to pull up next to Marvel Universe until the Snyder Cut came out, and most people's thoughts. So there's a lot of internal conflict, a lot of bickering, a lot of back and forth. They made him take out Green Lantern. He was originally going to have Green Lantern in there, and he was going to play a major role in the movie. So it's just been it's a very unique situation given how successful a lot of people view the Snyder Cut, or at least based on the ratings that we see. Right, it's up at like 75 or something, and the original Justice League was down to like 61. Right, so it just shows that people found the movie better. Obviously, it would resonate with those people in the DC universe, and it just shows that Warner Brothers just does not know how to manage DC, and they probably need to drop it.
Apparently, they don't care about money, man, because I mean, you saw the hype. Clearly, people wanted to see this movie. They heard the Zack Snyder cut existed. So for years, people begged and, and pleaded with Warner Brothers to drop it. They, ran campaigns online. The release of Snyder Cut was a hashtag for years and went on till they finally got their way. So you're telling me like you're so against the idea of this dude doing more for you that you'll say screw the fans. You'll make more movies. You'll have them rewrite the Flash movie so they can introduce time travel and all this stuff to write, like, completely erase the Snyder cut out of existence. Like, that's just, it seems like a whole lot of work to erase one person's legacy out of the whole lexicon. And to me, if you're Warner Brothers, you should sit on two sides of the fence. If it's a flop, you can say, okay, we gave you your money, you flopped. Goodbye, and we'll never do business with you again. But on the other hand, if it comes out and it's a success like it was, revive the damn thing, man. Clearly, you have multiple Batmen out there now. There's multiple Flashes out there now. Why not just give him some money and let him do his own thing over here? He set the groundwork for a trilogy, and people are excited to see it. It makes sense to, ride that money wave, man. I mean, that's the name of the game in entertainment, is to make money, and the fans are how you do that. You don't want to piss off the fans by saying, hey, here's this guy that you love who made this thing you love. Now he's gone. So
I mean,
Well, I think
they're throwing a temper tantrum, right? I
yeah.
mean, what they released was terrible. The fans didn't like it, and as we know, comic book fans are severe. You're taking something they love and a passion they love and destroying it. They're going to get mad, and you're going to hit backlash. I mean, look at especially when you have what Disney and Marvel are doing with the MCU. They're like, look, this can be done. Warner Brothers, you suck at it. You know, but here you have a director, Zack Snyder, who's actually good at it. And I just think Warner Brothers is trying to save face, and it's just not working in their favor because the fans that are ultimately going to pay Warner Brothers money to see their films don't are in support of Zack Snyder. They don't like Warner Brothers anymore. So why would you just swallow your pride and just admit it? Say, okay, we were wrong. Zack, you were better. Let's make some money together and let's pump this out. Otherwise, I mean, I'm sure Disney would love to have Snyder come over to their side and kind of make some movies over there.
dude,
And if that happens, forget it. DC is done.
it's been my dream ever since I heard Warner Brothers screwing him out of his stuff that Warner Brothers offers Zack Snyder any character he wants out of the Marvel Universe. Whatever he wants to film, let him do it. When you watch whatever you think of Man of Steel, whatever you think of Batman vs. Superman or his Justice League movie, those are beautiful movies, man. Like, he really did a hell of a job framing these pictures and just setting it up for these awesome shots, man. You can't tell me that magic couldn't work in the Marvel universe. In a pre-established universe already, I'd give this dude whatever character he wanted and let him run with it, man. Let him reboot Wolverine, like whatever. Let him do the damn Gambit movie. Give him anything, man. Just let him in. If clearly, okay, Zack Snyder has a darker sense on his superheroes. So give him somebody that's R-rated. Blade, Deadpool. Give him somebody. Let him do his thing, man. Him directing the Blade movie with Mahershala Ali,
Be good.
dude, you can take my whole check right now. I'm in. Some things just write money for, they write checks for themselves, man. And Warner Brothers, they screwed the pooch on this one. They really did.
Think of
Here's
go for it.
here's a fun fact is that Justice League, the original, for those who don't know, never even made a profit at all. And this is why I think the egos are so inflated over there is they don't want to admit that the Snyder cut that they only paid $70 million to really make, and obviously he took off a lot of the stuff he had already done, but $70 million, and it probably brought in more than $70 million.
Probably. I mean, I think they put all their eggs in one basket with Joss Whedon. And granted, Joss has had a great career. He has come up with some great shows um, that have been killer, and some pretty good movies too. I just think replacing Zach with Joss just wasn't the way to go, and I think just trying to save face.
Letting him rewrite the movie was a mistake. Like,
Yeah.
especially when he had filmed majority of it already. Like, why would you do that? That made no sense. Give it a lighter tone for what? You know, so I mean, they kind of screwed the pooch on that one as well. But that brings me to my news story for the week, and we're gonna jump into the Warzone round. Looks like Activision is going to be heading towards the realm of bringing in action stars, and from one particular decade in general, and it is the decade of action stars, and that is the 80s. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're old enough and you lived through this time, damn it, you were blessed. You saw some of the greatest action stars of our time born and brought to the big screen, and they kicked ass. And one of these names in particular is a man by the name of John Rambo. Hot damn, what a hero. And another name, and this guy right here, his movie birthed this particular genre of action movie where you have an action hero locked into a specific location, and they have to fight all the bad guys in a specific location. And you can thank none other than John McClane from the Die Hard series. So now we have the 80s action stars coming into Warzone. Their skins will be available on the 20th of May. And I think this opens the door to bring in the likes of Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And even if you want to go the female route, good old Cynthia Rothrock. You can, I think there's some names that you can throw out there, but I would love to see at least JCVD and Schwarzenegger in this thing to just give it some.
It feels like they're going the way of Fortnite, right? Fortnite brings in all these characters and introduce it. But I mean, I'm excited for this. I always see what Fortnite does, and I'm like, God, that's dumb. Why are you bringing in this other character? But I'm actually now being a hypocrite because I'm kind of excited for John McClane specifically. Rambo, badass, awesome film. I'm a John McClane guy through and through. And you kind of already see one of those skins, that hunter skin that they released. Like he's wearing the tank top, he's bloodied up. I'm like, that's kind of John McClane already. So they don't have much to code, just change the face. But depending on how much it costs, we'll see if I actually pay for it. But I'm excited to kind of see some new skins in here. I might retire the Rose skin.
Shut. What I think will be interesting here is, do they make fans pay for these, or are they one-time skins that are on a limited basis that are there for 3 months, 3 weeks, whatever the case is, and then they rotate out? That's the question. Are we paying for these skins? Are they going to be permanent skins, or are they going to be rotated in and out? We're not sure, right? And I don't think there's been a lot of communication about it yet, as far as I know, unless you have more, D.
I would assume they would be time skins, and that's only because, like with some of the guns in the previous seasons, they're not available at all times. Once the season's over, the gun kind of goes away, or at least the skin does. So I could see these skins being, I guess, for this particular thing, stopping, and then maybe next season they bring in more people. So if you don't buy it now, you miss out. That would make sense. I mean, I would assume if they did the deals with, these particular actors and these properties that they belong to, it would have to be timed. They can't just say, hey, Sylvester Stallone, we're going to use your likeness for the entirety of this game, this dude back here.
And that's kind of what I was thinking as well, right? It has to be a limited basis. And if it's limited, are you going to charge, or is it just going to be challenge based, right? Do you complete so many challenges, get the skin, it unlocks for a season, and it disappears? I think that's probably the best approach. But with Warzone, you never know. And the one thing I will say, Activision, I don't know if anybody's been on their Twitter page lately, but Activision has really had to have fired half the staff at Activision, or Ravensoft specifically, because they have been Johnny on the spot answering people on Twitter, releasing things for the fans. They're on Trello. You can go in there and put a card in there if you have an issue or a glitch, or I mean, they've really kind of stepped it up. And I think bringing these characters in from the 80s is just another step in that development of just trying to give the fans what they want. They know this is happening at Fortnite, and they know the fans love it, and they share a lot of the same fans. And the fans have been asking for new skins, different skins. Can we get something where maybe people like the Cube will stop running the damn rose skin? I don't know. I don't think the rose skin's that bad anymore, considering how light the map is. But people hate people who have rose skin just because it's a grudge thing.
I like the idea of them bringing in different skins, especially of like action stars. Like if you want to have one that's like the 80s action stars, if you want to bring in like say like The Rock or something from like Fast 5 or something eventually. Like if you want to do like specific action characters, I'm cool with that. Now I don't want it to go like the whole Fortnite route where it's like Kratos is in Warzone now or Batman is in Warzone now. I don't want to see that shit. I want to see, you know, just specific action heroes that are like kind of like a John Wick. That would be cool,
Well, that
You
would be
can,
cool.
yeah, you can have like I don't know, you can have yeah, like you can have like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator. You could have like Jean-Claude Van Damme from, Double Impact or, something. Just specific movies I think would be awesome, kind of tap into some specific characters. The money writes itself, man.
I say put in like a special event mode. Like don't do regular Warzone because people are gonna complain. But like you can have like a special Warzone map, like nighttime, daytime, whatever, and like put in like I mean I'm chatting with my chat here while I stream, like the Predator, right? And give him built-in night vision. So like you can turn night vision on and off automatically. You don't have to have, anything special. Um I mean there's potential here to really change Warzone and kind of update it to kind of catch up with the other battle royales. Because I mean, let's face it, here in a month they're going to have some serious competition when it comes to more realistic military type battle royale with Battlefield coming out. So they need to come up with something to kind of keep Warzone fresh and entertaining. Like zombie mode last year for the Halloween zombie mode was so much fun, and it really revived like my own excitement about the game because I was kind of getting burnt out. But that zombie mode like brought me back. So they need something.
Especially after playing with that random, right?
Oh yeah, right.
Valley stakes were the way to go.
Taught us about Cali sticks.
Well, that's my news for this week, and that's going to kick us on into the topic of this week. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to bring it back. We're talking the games again, and this week we are talking about our favorite Xbox games of all time. There's some really good classics out there, and we're here to talk about them, and we're talking about all the generations of Xbox. So let's go ahead and do the damn thing. Mr. Coov, go ahead and kick us off. Give us your first Xbox game, sir.
Well, I think we need to get the obvious one out of the way, right? When it comes to Microsoft and it comes to Xbox, there's always one game that everybody talks about. That is yes, exactly. You got it. Tetris. I was gonna go Tetris.
Oh, thank you.
No, that is the amazing game Halo. I remember when the first Halo came out, it was such a cool concept. Like you're on this ring planet and you can see the ring like out in the distance. You can see the other landscapes. The story was incredible. They've launched an entire franchise off of Halo, obviously, with a new one coming out this year to continue the story. But I mean, what a character in Master Chief, right? He's just kind of this quiet guy, doesn't talk much. Cortana does most of the talking. Um, I love this game through and through. I've played every Halo. I'm actually replaying the Master Chief collection now just for fun, and kind of seeing the updated graphics on it. But I mean, Halo is that staple Xbox game.
What a game, man. That was when I didn't have the original Xbox when it first came out, but I did play it. And the very first game that I ever played was Halo, and that was at my buddy's house. I remember going over there and him telling me like, "Dude, have you played the new Xbox?" I'm like, "No, I haven't." He's like, "Dude, there's this game. It's called Halo. Man, it's awesome. You're gonna love it." And I sat down and watched him play for like 20 minutes, and then he was like, "All right, you go ahead." And the first thing, I mean, it was like this, this graphically updated first person shooter. You're running through there and the weapons were insane, the enemies were insane, and it just seemed like, man, this shit is the future. And man, I'm having a blast. And then like the Halo franchise just kind of exploded from there, like in popularity. it became a thing. Like if you had an Xbox or if you touched an Xbox, at some point you got your hands on Halo and everybody sang its praises, man. I mean, you can look on YouTube now, there's like videos of dudes humming the theme, in bathrooms and shit like that, man. And it's an all-time classic, man. Master Chief is gonna go down as one of the top 10 video game characters of all time.
Sure.
I hear a lot of people say this, that they think that Halo needs a battle royale. I don't think that. I don't. How do you do a battle royale with Halo? I'm not really sure how that would work, given that there's not a whole lot of team-based type things in Halo. It's usually solo. I don't. I haven't played Halo in a minute, so maybe it's changed. But it was just Master Chief running around shooting aliens, and I don't know how you get that into a battle royale unless something's changed, and I haven't seen it in the past years.
You can go like a Counter-Strike approach to it and have like the humans versus the Covenant or even the Flood. I don't know how you play a Flood though. So you can have two teams opposite side of the map. But I mean that would be more of a large scale war, kind of like what Battlefield does or what Warzone tried to do for a little bit, than an actual battle royale. But I mean you can just have Spartans killing other Spartans too.
Yeah. I just think it's kind of weird personal thoughts, but I think Halo as a game was actually really, really good. I've only played a little bit of it. I will admit, I have only played probably about 2 hours of the original Halo, because that's the only Xbox game I've ever played through.
Yeah, the Master Chief Collection, it's worth it. If you get your hands on it, man, just go run through it, man. That's actually how I actually got to go back and play all the ones I didn't touch before was when the Master Chief Collection came out. I went ahead and ran them back. Good stuff, man.
Well, now that I flipped over to PC playing, it makes that compatibility and playing a little bit easier to do now that Microsoft shares with their cloud-based platform. So
I bought the Xbox Pass for PC and the Master Chief Collection's on there, so you could play all of them.
I guess I'll go ahead and take it on mine. And the first game I have for Xbox, we're talking about The Dark Knight, man. Batman Arkham City. Now, I was going to name the entire franchise, the entire collection of games, but I'll go ahead and say Arkham City. Because what more could you want than to be Batman and have the ultimate hands combination to put out there and to be locked in a city full of criminals? And you can just jump around the city whipping everybody's ass. That sounds like a good time to me. And if you're Batman, Arkham City is the game to go. I think the Arkham franchise, they set the groundwork for what we have in superhero games, especially with the Spider-Man games, for combat, the free-flowing combat. They perfected it. Rocksteady did a hell of a job in putting that together, and it feels like you're Batman because you're just jumping from enemy to enemy and putting on uncapped combos on everybody, man. It's a good time, man. I really love Arkham City.
The Arkham series is hands down one of the best superhero series I've ever played. I would put it higher than Spider-Man because I mean, let's be honest, there's really only been two good Spider-Man, well, three now with Miles Morales out, three good Spider-Man games, but every Arkham game I think is just top notch. There's yeah, one that's a little bit less when not Arkham City. It might be Arkham City. Whichever
Arkham
one you
Knight.
kind of go back. No, I love Arkham Knight. I love that one, but the story behind the Arkham series is just incredible because I mean you are dealing with the one of the biggest rivalries in DC history, Batman versus Joker for the entire series. Whether you know it or not, like you finally find out that the Joker's kind of involved in every little piece of it, but just the story was incredible. If there's ever been a game series I am legitimately sad to see end because Rocksteady has said they're not making anymore, it's the Arkham series with Batman. And you hit it perfectly, D. That battle system was amazing. It really did feel like you were Batman fighting. And I remember spending hours trying to get one achievement of get a hundred hit combo in a battle. And it took me hours to do, but like I would always get 50, 60, like up there because it was so easy to fight. But I'm excited to see what Gotham Knights is going to look like. But it's made by a different company. But I God, what a game series.
sorry, I'm over here dying, guys. I don't know if any of you are gonna find that shocking or not, but I've never played this game.
Have you
Not
heard of
shocking.
Batman?
I have actually not played any superhero game with the exception of Spider-Man a while ago. I have not been. I will admit, as you all know, I am not a superhero person until I found out a lot of the backstory through you guys, and I've always kind of watched the Marvel movies or whatever the case was, and they were okay, they were good. But now I know that a lot of the backstory because of our offline conversations that we should probably have online going forward because I think the audience would find them interesting as well. But it has renewed my interest in superheroes, and so I've actually gotten a lot more into it here recently than I would have.
If ever there's a superhero game to recommend outside of Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, and then the most recent Spider-Man and Miles Morales, it's the Batman Arkham series. You will not play a superhero game better than that Arkham series, in my opinion, anyway. It is just beautifully well done, great graphics. The stealth concept is incredible because, I mean, you're Batman, right? You're supposed to be quiet. The gadgets you can use like only get better and better in each game. You get better gadgets. You can do whole combos. You can be wailing on a guy, shoot a guy with a batarang while spin around and shoot another guy with a freeze gun, and still be in this fluid battle nonstop. I mean, it's on PlayStation too. They hit all the systems. I don't think it's on Nintendo, but they hit like PlayStation. I don't know if you can get it on PC. You might be able to, but pick it up. Pick it up for sure.
Definitely, man. That free flow combat system. I mean, they use the same thing on Spider-Man, and it's basically the same combat system where as long as you're hitting people and you don't get hit, the combo just racks up. And man, on Batman, it is awesome, dude. Like I'm telling you, start with Arkham Asylum and work your way all the way through, man. It is fun.
And a good story with the Joker,
Absolutely.
with the legendary Mark Hamill as the voice of the Joker,
And Kevin Conroy back as
and
Batman.
Kevin Conroy as Batman. Absolutely.
Good stuff, man. Well, Mr. JD Hugh, give us your first Xbox game, sir.
Well, if I can make this through without dying again, I will do so. I don't know what it is. I just had this something hot in the side of my throat here, and it feels like I want to die, and I keep coughing, and I feel like I'm coughing lung up, but we'll see. All right, so the first game. So as everybody probably heard from my previous statement, I have never really played Xbox a whole lot. So a lot of these games are going to be cross-platform games, just because I have played them and I kind of dabbled inside the Xbox, but I've never fully owned an Xbox. Find that shocking? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So with that being said, the first game I'd like to bring up is Diablo 3. First of all, I thought this was an actual very fun game. I thought originally it was released on PlayStation and then made its way over to Xbox, if I remember rightly, because I don't think it was simultaneously released on PlayStation and Xbox at the same time. But the Diablo series has always been super, super fun. Diablo 3 was the Reaper's Soul package. I think was the first one that made it over its way to Xbox. So it was actually with the expansion at the same time. And was absolutely fun. You ended the main storyline and you went into the secondary storyline, which was this Reaper that comes back and is taking souls, and you're trying to fight him, and then you're fighting like random Reapers in the middle of the forest and stuff. So ended up being really fun. Still out today. They're still expanding it. Every time you go in there, there's updates to the map or a new map altogether, even on ones that you played. So always fun. Really, really enjoyed that game.
The Diablo series is again another good story if you play from the first all the way through. And I recently started playing Diablo 3 again. And like now they kind of do like what Warzone does, like they have seasons. And every season your character resets to level 1 and you got to go through it all over again. They have different challenges, they give you different buffs. You have the Paragon levels, which is what you can do once you cap out. But I've always loved the Diablo series. I think, again, for me, it's all about that story. We've talked in previous podcasts. I kind of like that religious demon, angels versus demons story. And I mean, that's all Diablo is.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull a James right here and say, as mentioned previously, I've never played this game, but I intend to. I actually have been looking at it. recently, and I'll just add it to the backlog. Might as well, but never played that one. Looks good though.
I mean, it is. It's your typical Diablo series. You get to pick a main character, right? And that could be the barbarian, or if you buy the expansion, the necromancer, or whatever the case may be, you pick the character and you level it up. Some of them are good, some of them are trash. I think the Crusader is trash until you get to like level 80, and then it becomes good. But if you want to struggle the entire game, pick the Crusader. You know, that's the way to go. If you want a cakewalk, obviously from the other Diablos, Barbarian's the way to go. Everybody knows that.
Mr. Coob, you're number 2, please.
All right. So my second game is an Xbox exclusive. It was one I played a lot in college, in the dorms with a bunch of buddies. So it's a party game. So it is kind of the adult version. Well, I say adult, and that has connotations. More of a grown-up version of Mario Party, and that's Fusion Frenzy. So this was just a party game. You had a bunch of mini games you can do, whether it's you're all trapped inside of a cage ball and you have to knock each other off, kind of like Monkey Ball on Nintendo. It was just a collection of mini games, and I added this to the list because it just gave me fond memories of college and the dorms. Like a bunch of us would just kind of get together and hook up 4 controllers and just go at it. It was fun.
This is what party games was about, man. I mean, like I said, Halo was the first game that I played on the OG Xbox. Fusion Frenzy followed shortly after that, somewhere in there, and then next 10 games I played on Xbox. But it was really fun, man. I remember like sleeping over at my buddy's house, and we would sit up there and have nights where we would just play Fusion Frenzy for hours, man. And like you said, the rolling around in the balls, awesome, man. That was real fun right there, man. I had a good time playing that game.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this game until right at this moment, and I just did a quick Google search on it. And this thing looks lit. Like I think I would have actually really, really enjoyed playing this. I mean, you're on a platform with little bouncy ball things, and it looks like it gets smaller as you go, and you guys are fighting each other, and then there's like this course. And I mean, if you haven't played this kind of looks like one of the funnest games to play, like with a bunch of people. Like it looks like up to 4 players, be my guess. And it actually looks really, really fun. I'm kind of surprised I have not heard of this, considering how many people I hung out with that had Xbox. So maybe it's one of those like dirty secrets that you would never tell anybody that you played, but that you played it. Maybe, I don't know. But it looks lit. I think this would be a couple of beers and some friends over, and you'd be having a good time all night.
I think because
Maybe
OG Xbox had so many games, that's probably why. Like it had so many really good games that's probably why you never heard of Fusion Frenzy. But it was a good game too. OG Xbox, they didn't mess with a lot.
mm,
It's lit.
All right, that brings me to my number 2 game, and I'm gonna go ahead and say good old GTA 5 for my next game. You're talking about a game with a fun story, and this game is so incredible. It's still live today, man. This game came out in 2013, and it is still going strong in 2021. The online multiplayer base is huge. It's still a largely streamed game with huge audiences watching. I know XQC, the streamer, the Twitch streamer, he streams it almost every day for at least 80,000 viewers. So people clearly have interest still in this game. In, the story mode itself where you control 3 different characters, I thought that was really cool, and you can flip between them at different times of the game and play their sides of things. It was just awesome, man. What a game. Can't wait for GTA 6 to come out.
I mean, GTA, the series has just always been, if not controversial with certain events like hot coffee, it's always been just a fun game. I mean, there's so many parodies of it in pop culture. There's many games that try to copy it. I mean, you look at like the Mafia series, which is another great series of
Oh yeah.
games, but they copy the GTA format, right?
Yeah.
I mean, GTA is just again, it's that staple game in the video game industry, and GTA 5, the fact that they're still going with online, and now you have role play online where you can like open a shop and like you can just sell to other players. It's like, what are you doing today? I gotta go open my shop. I gotta work 9 to 5 in this video game world and open a shop, and then rob a bank later because I got time. But I've been actually looking to get back into GTA 5, especially the online. It's one I've been kicking around and toying with. But there's so many other games I play right now to stream that I just don't know if I can find time.
So fun fact, I had not correlated Mafia to GTA until Koo said that, and I really, really, really liked Mafia 3. And I had so much fun playing that, and I didn't know why because it seemed like it'd be really kind of stupid, but I loved it. Right, different storylines. You could, level up one, person over the other, like little sections of town. You level up this, they get you this perk and all this other crap. Uh, I have not played GTA 5, and here's why. Not because I did not, like the GTA series. I played GTA all the way from 3 all the way through like San Andreas. I played GTA 4. I played all of them. I never heard GTA 5 came out. For the longest time, I never heard about it. And then when I joined Twitch, I saw somebody playing GTA, and I was like, we're going back GTA 4 for. And I popped in there, and they're playing GTA 5. And I'm kind of sad. So let me ask you this for those of you that have played it. There was rumor back in the day that you were going to have to eat and sleep and drink and all this other crap to keep your level up or your health up. Did they ever implement that? Or is it just their normal GTA where you're running around and shooting and doing missions?
I don't
I
remember
don't know.
having to like level up or anything like that. I do know you could rest on there, but I don't think that was like a requirement.
Okay, so they're not a requirement to eat, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Not that I recall,
Okay,
no.
all right, good. Because that was one thing I heard, and that's why I was like, oh, I hope they don't do that. And then I never heard anything again. I too will wait for GTA 6 to come out just because GTA 5 has been out for a long time, and I know GTA 6 is coming out, I think, in the next year, is a rumor. So once that drops, my plan is to stream GTA 6 as soon as it comes out. I actually love the GTA series. I'm kind of sad that I have not played this one.
Right on. All right. Mr. JD Hugh, give us your next one, please, sir.
Yeah, let me take myself off mute there. All right, so the next one up on my list is going to be Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So, if any of you have played the Assassin's Creed series, I think Black Flag kind of goes down as one of the best Assassin's Creed games. Originally, I was very kind of sad to play Black Flag because I was like, I don't want to be sitting here rolling around on a stupid ship, right? This is not Assassin's Creed to me. But once I played Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I was like, this is lit. I am playing this nonstop. I played the crap that you could level up the boat, you could turn around and get better shots. You were attacking the British, you were attacking other pirates, you were, hunting down um, I can't remember the Templars, you're heading down the Templars, and I think everything kind of worked for this game and easily became one of the best games. I mean, first of all, you were at Nassau, right? And you were overlooking like this great lake, and everything looked pretty. And you had to, level up this part of the island. I mean, it was just fun. It was a fun game. Probably one of the funnest Assassin's Creed games I played. I'm still making my way through Valhalla. It's kind of dragging on just because with everything else going on in life, but it was one of the funnest games.
Man, Black Flag is the best Assassin's Creed game. Straight up. I don't even know anybody that would argue against that. Man, I loved Assassin's Creed Black Flag, man. They from the ship combat to you actually doing the assassin stuff, like that good mixture of that, man, that game was so fun. It's the only Assassin's Creed game that I've beaten and then went back and played it again. Like it was that good, man. I really love it. And that's another one that I have in my library on Xbox that I refuse to delete. Like I just keep it there, man, just in case I want to run it back again. So I love that game.
And here's the thing, right? So with the Assassin's Creed games, like you said, when you play them, you beat them, you put them off to the side, and you don't ever play them again, right? When they came on with the online multiplayer platform, that was the stupidest thing I had ever seen in my life. I was walking down the street and some guy assassinated me from the top of the roof, and I was like, "What is this crap?" So no, I agree. It is one of the ones you go back and play because you can level up. There's so many side missions you can continue to do. But sorry, Coop, you had something there? Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say when it comes to the Assassin's Creed series, outside of the first one that introduced the whole series, and everything kind of copied that. It was another game series for me that started losing my interest because they pumped them out every year. It was kind of like Call of Duty. Every year they had a new one, and it was the same game. I'm like, okay, yeah, different character. Now you're in Italy, going through the Italian Renaissance rather than in Arabian times. But I lost my interest. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy another Assassin's Creed. And then they came out with Black Flag, and I'm like, well, I do like pirates, so I mean, I guess I will have to go buy this one. Um, and it was just a refreshing take on the Assassin's Creed series that introduced that boat system. And the boat battles were some of the most fun I've had in a game like that. And it really reminded me of Sid Meier's Pirates, an older pirate game. I'm talking old, like Atari old. Like, this is an old game that they have just rehashed and remade over the years. But it had that feel to it on the boat. And I love that, the Sid Meier's game. Um, this Black Flag is probably my favorite Assassin's Creed, and every Assassin's Creed I've played since then, I compare to Black Flag and try to see how does it stand up. Like the American Revolution one, they kind of introduced boats again. It just wasn't as good as Black Flag. You can tell they had a winner, and now they kind of screwed the pooch, and they're like, well, now what do we do? We can't really get out of this. I still haven't defeated the stupid ghost ship on Black Flag. It's one of the optional bosses you can go up against. That thing just shreds my maxed out ship. Like, I can't level up my ship anymore, and this thing shreds through my ship. But awesome game. One I might have to go back and play.
Definitely do that, man. All right, Mr. Coov, you're next. Well, that was your game, Black Flag. So that one's on
That
to
was
me.
mine.
Oh, that was yours.
Yep.
Okay. So Coov, your next one, please, sir.
All right. For my next one, I'm going to go to a cartoon. When it comes to games looking cartoony, usually they're hit or miss, but this is one that I thought had the right element of comedy, the right element of action, and way too much frustration because it pissed me off. It was so hard. But I like the challenge, and that's the Cuphead game. So if you haven't played this game, or in JD's case, you've never heard of this game, and I'm just making an assumption, um, you can play one of two characters. It's a two-player game. You can either play by yourself or one of the other. Of either a cup, it's like a coffee cup, or like a milk cup or something like that. And the premise behind the story is it's these two guys, these cupheads, who sell their soul to the devil for something, and the devils come to collect, and they refuse to give up their soul. So they're battling through these bosses to get to ultimately the devil to try to defeat him and keep their soul. Um, it's done in the style of like your old like 40s cartoons. It's in color, but some stages are it's in color, but it's like that like Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse era kind of cartoons. So if you Google it, you can and pull up images, you can see exactly what it looks like. But this game was a ton of fun. It was hard. There was no easy mode on it. Super challenging, but it just gave you that challenge to get better.
Top 3 hardest games I have ever played. It's not even a question, man. You talking about frustration. It's so frustrating and so hard. I never beat the game. Still have it on my Xbox. Never beat it. And I don't know if I want to go jump back into that frustration, man, because it really is hard. I remember when it first came out, there being an uproar online of people pissed off at how hard this game was. For anybody who's never played Cuphead, if you're a glutton for punishment and you like being frustrated, go ahead. Give it a try. I guarantee you will leave frustrated as well because I haven't seen anybody be able to make it through without dying a million times.
Yeah, Saku's right. Yeah, never ever even heard of this game. Much more played this game. Uh, I'm looking at the images now, and you're right. It is that steamboat type
Yep.
look.
And the whole game is like that. Every stage looks like that. But like these bosses always came in multiple stages. Like you always hear like the final boss has 3 stages. Like you deplete his life, and he's like, oh, now you fight my true form. Every boss was like that in this game.
As it comes, man. All right, that's going to bring me to my next game. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a little bit of Rocket League. If I told you that you could control an RC car while playing soccer, and it is awesome, man. Like just the idea of that alone should be enough to sell you. But then you play this game and you are addicted. Rocket League is one of those games where you fire it up and it takes about 5 minutes before you are completely hooked and you want to play game after game after game after game. It is fun, man. It is soccer basically with RC cars and you're just driving around. And they even have some vehicle skins in there. Like I own the DeLorean from Back to the Future and the Tumbler from Batman vs. Superman. And so all the different vehicles in there are fun. There's nothing more excited than scoring a goal and there being a huge explosion and your car goes flying back from the goal and you hear that bang, that loud horn go off. Like there's nothing more exciting than that. I still play Rocket League a couple times a week and the addiction is real, man. I love that game to death.
So I picked it up when it was free on PlayStation Plus years ago, like when it first came out, like before they started doing seasons and tournaments. I'm like, all right, it's free. I'll give it a shot. You're right. 5 minutes in, that was the only game I played for weeks. Like that's all I played. It was just so much fun. They made unlocking things like entertaining. You didn't have to buy uh like explosions or whatever the thing looks like, the goal looks like. Nothing feels better than making an incredible save that you just know you shouldn't have made, but like your back rear tire happened to hit the ball and shot it off from the goal. Such a fun game. I finally cut the cord and said I'm not playing this anymore, else I'm never going to play another game again. Um, I downloaded it last week, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Rocket League is extremely addicting. Isn't it one of the first games to implement a full cross-platform amongst
Yeah,
all of them?
Yes.
one of them,
Yes.
yeah.
That's what I thought. It was originally on Xbox, and then it integrated into I think PC, and then it finally made its way. I think PlayStation was the last one to join that little pack there because they were
I
very
think other way
resistant.
around.
Was it? I thought PlayStation was very resistant to cross-platform with Xbox at the beginning. No.
Not for that game. So I think it started on Xbox, then PlayStation, and then PC, and then Nintendo Switch recently picked it up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know it. It's a very addicting game. People still stream that game.
Dude,
You can go
it's
search Rocket
fun,
League,
man.
and people are like, you think these guys are like the legit soccer players. So they're flipping their cars, and like you said, they're doing amazing saves, and it's always, even from a viewer perspective, Rocket League is one of those that you just get hooked on because you're just sitting there, you're just like, oh no.
This is one of those games that may be around in the esports realm for years to come
Mhm.
because it's highly competitive, it's fun, and like you said, it's very fun to watch. Even if you're not playing, you're still having a good time watching people because, like you said, the epic saves and the crazy goals and all that stuff, man. Especially when you get people that really know what they're doing in the game, dude, it can be amazing to watch people play that game. It's highly addictive. I love
Instead of me just running around just trying to touch the ball while these people are dribbling it in
it.
the air, hitting boosters, carrying the ball
Dude,
on their back. I'm like, I just hit the ball and
yeah.
pray.
All right, Mr. JD Hugh, give us your next one, please, sir.
So my next one, this is one of the other games that I actually played on Xbox. So big W there, and that is Star Wars Battlefront. Actually, one of the only few games I've ever played outside of a cross-platform game. And I don't know, maybe it is a cross-platform game now, but originally I think it was only on Xbox when I was playing it, and it was actually really fun. All the things on the controller did something. So there was, you could use the hand, lightsaber, you could jump around, you can slide, you can float, da 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 da. And it was all just fun, right? And there was stuff to be done in each of the areas. It was actually a really fun game. I know there is Star Wars Battlefront 2 now. I like the mass battles that you were in as well. That also made it very fun. Just overall, just a really good game. There's nothing that really was like, oh my god, this is the greatest game ever. But it was actually a really fun game and very addicting. I remember playing it with my brother for a long time, just sitting there, taking turns on the controller trying to advance the storyline. So ended up being a really good game.
I mean, what a game that lets you play your Star Wars heroes, right? You can jump
Right.
in as Luke, you can jump in as Darth Vader. I mean, you wanted to be those characters just for their powers. But absolutely, such a fun game. Battlefield 2 was really good too. They're still expanding that game. When all the new Star Wars movies came out, they put Rey in, they put Ben Kenobi in. I mean, or yeah. Anyway, great game. That's all I have to say.
I definitely agree, man. I mean, just if somebody told you, as a Star Wars fan, you could play a game and you can control Darth Vader, you control Luke Skywalker, and they told you it was all in this game and it's this big multiplayer type of game and you play as these characters, like hell yeah, you would be in on there, man. When Battlefront, came out, when the second one came out, I actually got it for free as part of like a Verizon promotion. They gave it to me for free for something. Man, dude, I played that game into the ground. It's such a fun game, man. The first one set the groundwork, and the second one just came back and knocked it out of the park, dude. Like, I really love that franchise right there, man.
I don't know if you recall, Battlefield 2 had a huge controversy right before it came out with
With
EA.
the loot boxes.
The loot boxes.
Hmm.
So you had to have so many points to unlock like Darth Vader. And unless you paid for it, and it was something like $10 to get enough points,
Oh,
um, someone looked at it and figured out how many points you earn per game and said you had to sink 80 hours of gameplay into it just to unlock one character.
wow.
And it caused such a huge backlash because EA said, "Well, just buy it.
Well,
Just buy the
that,
loot."
yeah, that and the and then the characters when you get them, they be like overpowered compared to the regular
Mhm.
characters. So it was like almost like pay to win. And so that was like part of the controversy. So that and the loot boxes, dude, it almost killed the EA company, like to the point where they were almost done for real, man. They were some greedy bastards at that point, man. That was crazy.
Oh yeah. But I mean, that's what started a lot of legislation and like in other countries saying loot boxes are gambling and they're
Yeah,
illegal. Was this specific game started it? EA almost shot themselves in the foot if they didn't pull back.
crazy for that. Right on, right on. So good old Battlefront is going to kick it on over to the Cube. Your next one, please, sir.
All right. So this next one was a game that I was told to play. People said, "Oh, it's so much fun. It's different." And I'm like, "How different really can these games be?" But this one actually was. They married a style of gameplay and actual live footage that they filmed. And I'm talking about Quantum Break. This game was a lot more fun than I originally thought it was going to be. So the general story behind it is you play a character who involved with a scientist who's like coming up with like time travel through a wormhole, and of course, whenever that happens, something goes wrong. So you're a character who has quantum powers. You can stop time. You can go through time. You have all these little additional powers, but it was a shooter game, a third-person shooter. Um, and then every time you finished a level, based on your actions that you took in that level, you would watch like a 15 to 30-minute kind of like TV show. And it was the actors that they did all the modeling off of were being filmed and they would act out based off of your choices. So it had a replay value. If you go back and did different choices throughout the game, you would get a different quote unquote episode that you had to watch in between the levels. And it was fun because, like, here you have this great action. They were usually pretty hard, like a lot of enemies. Then you kind of get a nice break. They put the story forward with this episode, and then you're right back into the action again.
Dude, Quantum Break is a criminally underrated series or game. Anybody who has an Xbox and has not played this game, I tell them they are missing out by not playing that game. I remember when it debuted at E3 years ago before it released, and they showed the footage, and the footage was they like showed an explosion, and then the everything just froze, and you saw like the explosion, the shards flying away, and then the character starts walking through the world while all that's going on, and people were blown away. Dude, the entire game is like that. It's insane. It is fun. The story is really good, man. It's awesome, man. I really love Quantum Break. I hope at some point we see a part 2 to that.
Oh yeah, that would be incredible.
I've not watched or seen this game. An ad
Big
here.
shock.
From what you said, see, here's the thing. So all these games kind of go like under the radar before I started really getting involved in gaming, and I blame that on me being in Japan. I don't know what time this game came out, but I'm going to blame it on me being in Japan anyway. Because I feel like there's a lot of these games I probably would have played, and maybe it's because I was a kid, and my parents never really, uh, condoned playing games all the time. My dad was very old fashioned and said you need to be outside playing, not inside. And then when I was outside too much, and I was out too much, and I was never home. So, it's one of these I never got an opportunity to really sit down and play a lot of games growing up. And so I feel like I missed out on this one, to be honest, because it kind of looks a little lit.
Were you in Japan in 2016?
Yes, I'm going to stand by that.
Liar!
I don't know. I don't know what I was doing in 2016. I'm pretty sure I was in Japan.
I believe you told me you were in Alabama around that time.
I don't want to talk about it.
Alabama, Japan. It's a small village in Japan.
Exactly. Maybe I was in Alabama in a town named Japan.
Ooh, there you go.
Plot twist. Right on, right on. Well, that brings me to my next one, and ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and dip into the world of Battle Royale. When I tell you in 2016 there was an idea that came about, and it said, hey, what if we were to drop you on an island against 99 other players, and you had to search buildings for weapons and gear, and then you had to go hunt each other down as a circle closed in on you, and you had to kill one another, and then there was the last man standing would win the quote-unquote chicken dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or as it is known to the pros, PUBG. What a hell of a game that is highly addicting. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, this was fun at some of the highest levels, especially early on. And we're talking glitches and everything. This game was still fun. When you can finally get into one of the servers and the lobbies, you are having a blast, man. And I'm talking about, we had a little thing amongst my group of friends called Friendship Friday, and this went on for about a year and a half, where every Friday we would all log online. We would say, forget our wives and girlfriends, and Friday nights were for the boys. And we would play PUBG for hours and hours and hours. What a fun game.
Video game version, the first video game version of the Hunger Games. Drop in with nothing. You have to go find your weapons and survive by eliminating everybody else. When this game first came out, that was exactly what I thought. I'm like, really? They made a video game based off the Hunger Games? But I mean, look what it's done. It has given birth to a whole new genre of video games. The three of us wouldn't be here on this podcast if they hadn't started Battle Royale, because we would have met up in Warzone.
Play it up.
Play it up. That's right. So I mean, it was the grandfather to Battle Royale. It's still going strong. Other games I think have claimed the title as King of Battle Royale, but it is definitely one to pay respects to.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not that familiar with the topic, but I do know a lot of streamers, I think, were streaming this at the time when Twitch was in its infancy. And it was fun. And like you said, there was competitions revolving around it. There was prize pools revolving around it. I mean, it was your first battle royale, really, that everybody was getting into at the time. And like you said, it was very 100 game-ish. So it was pretty fun to watch. And again, it led the way for what you see today in Warzone.
Yeah, I really love that game. All right, Mr. JD, your next one, please, sir.
My next one is going to be another kind of game that we all believe in and love, and that's Call of Duty Ghost. In my opinion, Call of Duty Ghost was probably one of the funner Call of Duty main storylines. I know a lot of people, that's a controversial statement there, as I can already see people like, what? I thought it was really fun. I kind of had its own little twist with it, with, these like alien looking things in there and powers and stuff like that. So maybe that's why I liked it a little bit more. It kind of brought us out of, Black Ops and things like that, and kind of left it. It was an Infinity Ward game. I know a lot of people, like I said, it's a controversial, didn't like it a lot. It kind of took it away from the main Call of Duty kind of theme setting. But I liked it. I thought it was a fun game. I sunk hours into it playing and just kind of looking around and the caves and the buildings, and you were part of this like cool little spec op team, and there were scientists and stuff. I just liked it all. It's just me.
Well, I hope you're prepared to be assassinated by the internet because
I know
you,
it goes down as one of the worst.
dude, I was about to say, man, you chose one of the most, critically destroyed Call of Duties and said it was one of your favorites. So, congratulations, you're a dead
It's his Masters of Disguise.
man.
I have not played Call of Duty Ghosts, and apparently, when I read the reviews afterwards, I didn't miss anything. There was definitely a time after Modern Warfare 2, I just stopped buying Call of Duty games. I was frustrated with them for releasing one every year over and over and over again, and to me, it felt like the same game. So I didn't want to drop $60 every year for the same exact game. I actually didn't pick up Call of Duty again until this Modern Warfare. And then this Warzone, and that's actually thanks to JD Hugh. He's the one that told me to buy it, and so we can start, running multiplayer together. And now I'm back in the COD series.
Wait up. Yeah, man. That Call of Duty Ghosts, I remember playing it when it first came out, and it just didn't have the same staying power as the rest of the Call of Duties, man. It was something about that game. It just didn't set its hooks in me like the rest of them, man. You know, I was a big I was a big proponent of the multiplayer aspect of it because that's what me and the boys would do. And dude, Ghost really killed it for a lot of people. There was a lot of player base that dropped out of there when Ghost came about, man. I mean, I thought it was okay. I didn't hate it as much as everybody else, but I understood why people had their frustrations with it.
So let the hate mail come. Let it come.
Advance
I agree.
upon me.
I stand by it. I thought it was a decent game. I didn't think it was the greatest COD game by any means, but it got so much flack for a lot of different reasons, and I feel like people were just butt sore about it. Sorry about it. Get over it. You know what I think was one of the worst games was Call of Duty World War II. Changed my mind. And the remake, because I can tell you the first Call of Duty they made, Omaha Beach or whatever, was lit.
Well, you woke up and chose violence this morning. Let's see.
So
Very
you
well.
chose death.
To all of our listeners out there, we take open applications for a new co-host.
If you
You
want
know,
to send hate mail, send it to @JDHugh.
when I was looking at the Trello board and I saw you put Call of Duty Ghost, I thought to myself, I should probably put a disclaimer that this does not reflect the opinions of the Played Up podcast before you say that. Mr. Coop.
My chat says World War II did suck.
It was awful. Worst Call of Duty game I've ever seen in my life. Changed my mind.
All right. So for my final Xbox One, I'm going with probably my favorite series from the Xbox. So it is another Xbox exclusive. I think there's been 4 games that came out for it, but it was really the main story. The 4th one was part of their Kinect, like they were trying to introduce the game using their Kinect, and that's the Fable series. But specifically, I'm talking about Fable 1. This was such a fun adventure game. So the story behind it is you play an orphan boy. Well, you didn't start an orphan, but raiders come into the village, wipe out your entire family, and kidnap your sister. You get picked up by the hero, so he's kind of like this legendary hero among the people, and he trains you, and it's pretty much a mission of revenge. But what Fable did, what they introduced, was kind of a evolving landscape, I guess you can say. So like as you progress through the game and you did different things, and made different choices, like the town you were in would change, how people reacted to you would change. So this did a lot of like what Bethesda is famous for, is like you have a choice, either go good or go bad. You could level your character up to be an evil character, or you can level them up to be a good character. And then things would change depending on that, like what you can access, who you can talk to, who you can interact with. This was such a fun game. They came out with a second and a third. The third one kind of blew me away too. So they introduce a lot of new elements, but to put in a detail such as you can court someone in Fable and you can get a wife and you can get multiple wives if you really wanted to. But if one wife found out about the other wife, they were going to leave you. So you had to be careful on what you did. Fable 3, you can build houses in different towns to avoid that if you really wanted to. But if you neglected one for too long, 'cause like I said, it was the evolving landscape. Like the people had day-to-day lives. These NPCs had an actual life that they lived out. So if you like didn't come back and visit your wife and kid, they would leave you because you were gone for too long. So you kind of had to make sure you came back at least and visit them and talk to them, and then you can go back out and adventure. But it was a fun series. I think there's rumor that they're making another, so I'm super excited for that if that comes out. But I love the Fable series.
Yeah, I've heard that they're making another one as well. Fable, it's another one of those games like I never played it, but I've watched people play it, specifically my brother. And I remember watching this game and realizing like this thing is deep. Like they had a ton of stuff to do in that game. It was kind of ahead of its time with how deep it was. It was RPG-ish in the way it was like the depth of the game. Like, there was so many things to do in the game. And like you said, the whole aspect you could marry somebody, go to another town, marry somebody else. But it was like if you neglected them, they leave you and all that stuff. Like, dude, that game was huge, man. I never played it. I never really wanted to play it because it just wasn't my style of game, but I didn't mind watching people play it, man. It looked fun.
Yeah, I'm like you, D. I've watched people play this. I've never actually played it itself. Kind of comes off as a little bit of a Final Fantasy kind of vibe, right? Where it's an RPG type thing with these colorful little characters. But like I said, I haven't invested too much time watching it either. I just had a buddy in college who was playing it a lot, and I'd come in and watch it. And he was also playing that with Elder Scrolls as well. As where my exposure to that game came in. But yeah, I mean, he kind of played a little bit every now and then. And I'd watch it, and I'd be like, okay, this is cool. And then I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go and play, Blitz or something. See ya. And so that was just kind of my exposure to it. I don't really know if it's a great game or good game or bad game based on that just experience. It was small and brief.
Well, I guess that brings me to my last Xbox game, and it is the one that set my love of multiplayer and gaming with the boys into hardcore, you know, mode. When I tell you this thing sucked so many hours out of my life, it made me turn off all responsibility. I was skipping the gym for this. I was staying home and not going to the club. I was flat out ignoring women during this time. Like, this was just straight about going home, hopping on the game, and being on there with the boys. And I am talking about none other than Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me say this. For those of you that complain about people in lobbies today, about what they may say to you and what they may do to you in these games. You are soft because you weren't there during the OG lobby days of Modern Warfare. I have been called every iteration of racist terms that you could ever think of in these Call of Duty Modern Warfare lobbies, and I still had a blast playing this game. It gave us one of the greatest video game levels of all time in all Gillied Up, where you were in a ghillie suit and you had to crawl through a field while enemies are walking around you, tanks are driving over you, and you had to get through a field all so you can land a sniper shot and take out an enemy. What a level, what a game, and it has birthed a franchise that will stay forever.
Absolutely. That was probably the most frustrating game or part of the game in that entire series, right? Sneaking through there, trying to get your way over through the Ferris wheel and through this dark setting and try not to get stepped on while your buddy's going, don't move. And then, of course, as soon as you get spotted, you can't make too much noise or the game's over, right? And so you're sitting here, you're like, I just want to beat this guy with a pistol and shoot him, and you can't do any of it. All to get to the very end of that level to line up a shot and shoot. You're just like, all that for that? Such a good game. Absolutely. You sink so much time in. The multiplayer on that was absolutely epic. There was a great sniper spot in one of the maps where you could just lay there. It was the only time I was ever a good sniper. And I could just lay there and shoot through the door as people were running in and out. And I got probably about 30 kills before they found out where it was. Again, if you're in the ghillie suit and you're in the grass, somebody can really see you.
I mean, what an incredible game to launch, to propel the Call of Duty series, because Call of Duties have been out already. This was a game that kind of revitalized my interest. Like I said, I played Modern Warfare 2 and then kind of quit after that until recently with Modern Warfare. Um, that ghillie suit level, that sniper level, you're right, JD, one of the most frustrating levels, but I feel like one of the more realistic levels.
Yep.
You play for 35 minutes, 40 minutes to shoot one bullet. That is the entire level. But I mean, you can't talk about Modern Warfare with talking about one of the most jaw-dropping scenes in video game history, I feel. And that's trying to nuke only to have it go off. And you are literally crawling because you were in the blast. You are dying and crawling away from this nuke, and all you see is that mushroom cloud. I just remember I like dropped the controller on my lap and was just shocked that that was what they presented me with, only to be outdone with the very next one with the airport level.
Terminal,
Yeah,
yeah.
that airport level was really
Yeah.
fun. Kind of messed up at the time.
I'll say that's the thing about this franchise, and I think that's why I couldn't decide which Call of Duty I wanted to put on the list, but I was like, you know what, I might as well put the OG because they started it. When it comes to like just cinematic moments in video games, like the gameplay is already, off the charts. Call of Duty as a franchise has set the mold for what the control should feel like and how it should be when you play, first person shooters. They set the bar. But what they do with making their moments in the game, like you remember these things. When you play all gillied up, you remember that. When you play at the terminal, it's called no Russian. When you play that level and you got to go in and shoot everybody in the airport, you remember that stuff. Like these are things you remember from the Call of Duty franchise. And dude, it's got its hook set in me for life, man. Like you just will always remember these things. These will be things I tell my kids about when we discuss video games down the line in the future and stuff, man. It's just a blast, bro.
And this is also when multiplayer, you could have 2 claymores without having any perks on.
That's right. That's right.
Because you always set one, and then you went up a little bit higher. You set the second one.
That's it.
Mr. JD Hugh, your last game, please, sir.
My last game, and this is by no means, I guess, the best game out of this. It was just the last one I wanted to talk about, and that is Titanfall 2. Those of you who played Titanfall 1 know the basic concept. For those of you that never played Titanfall 1, let me explain it to you. You're a guy, you get set up in a robot machine, you fight other robot machines, and then you kill people who are not in robot machines. But every now and then, which seems like more often than not, you get out of this robot machine and you run around on foot. Now, I don't understand the concept of getting out of the robot machine since it's lit. But you do anyways, and you go into these little holes where the robot machine can't go to further the mission. I don't like when they get out of the robot machine. I like fighting in it, but it is probably a very frustrating game for someone who doesn't know how to time manage, because it's always like protect this spot or go to this spot and protect it. And if you're not like Johnny on the spot with protecting this thing, you lose it. And you have to repeat the level over and over and over. And it's always sad when the robot blows up and you're at the end, you're just like, that was my robot guy. What's this guy going to do now without his robot, right?
The story of Titanfall 2, Titanfall and Titanfall 2, I felt was not really that great. Where Titanfall grabbed me was the multiplayer. And playing, especially Titanfall 2, and having a death match where you can now call in your robots too. Like everyone has to start off on foot. You had to earn enough points to call in your robot, but like once you did, it now became a mech battle. And you would occasionally see a little player running across the ground because they haven't gotten their mech yet or their mech blew up. And you would try to step on them because I'm toxic like that. But I mean, multiplayer was where it's at. I still think Titanfall 2 is popular today. I haven't seen many streamers. Granted, I don't really click into that channel, but I just remember having that like grapple you can shoot and like you can run along the walls. Like you can do some pretty intense parkour. going through the map, to where you can get to the other side fairly quickly, even without a mech to jump into. But then you can upgrade your mechs. There's different mechs to choose from. I mean, this was all around a fun, what I thought, multiplayer game.
Yeah, Titanfall, man, is a hell of a game. I remember the first time you played Titanfall, like the thing you get used to is like the gameplay. Because with Call of Duty, you're running around on the ground, you're just a normal, soldier running through and shooting people. When Titanfall, they were like, dude, you can wall run. You got, like you got the little double jumps with the boost and stuff like that. But that's not what sells you on the game. What sells you on the game is that first time you call in your damn Titan and that big ass robot drops out of the sky and you just look up and see the and when it crashes into the ground and you get to climb inside of the suit, dude, you feel like damn Iron Man and the Hulkbuster, man. Like you just feel like real powerful and then you're just shooting everybody. It's very fun. The multiplayer on there was amazing, man. I remember having a blast playing that. And when 2 came out and they brought the story mode into it, it was what fans wanted. They wanted a story. They was like, how can you give us this cool game with these cool mechanics and no story in the first? So they said, okay, for part 2, we'll give you a story and then you just run with it. Dude, it's awesome, man. The Titanfall series, they're really cool, man. If they, like you said, if they expand on the story more and throw a little more into it, it could be awesome, man. It could really have a home run in the hands. That it for you there, JD?
That's it for me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the topics for this week. That was our favorite Xbox games, and that's going to bring us to the question of this week. And it is, what is your personal favorite video game accomplishment of all time? Of all the video games you've played in your lifetime, what is your favorite accomplishment that you have had? It could be beating your favorite boss. It can be getting a platinum in the game. What do you have there, Mr. JD Hugh?
Oh no, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of things you should feel accomplishing in these games. Mine was Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm going to bring it up. That's right. I'm saying it, calling it as it is. And my favorite thing about Final Fantasy Tactics is when you finally, it's not the last boss that's the hardest, to be honest. It's the first one, and you're playing with that guy that you rescued, and he has the wizards and the knight, and you're just not leveled up enough for that match. And I think his name's Angus or something, and he shoots you with that pistol all the time, and it just tilts you. And I think my favorite moment was, and I was younger, obviously, so my game playing skills were obviously not to the highest level that they were. But when I finally beat that guy and it got to advance through the rest of the storyline, I was so excited and so happy that I want to tell people. And yes, I know Ku's in here going, oh, Final Fantasy Tactics sucks. But it is what it is, and it's better than Final Fantasy VII, and no one can change my mind. So that's my moment. Ku, what's yours?
What's really funny is the very first game that popped into my head. Big surprise, Final Fantasy VII. So for you to say Final Fantasy Tactics, I'm like, oh man, we're bringing it up again. 7 versus Tactics. Here we go. It is Final Fantasy VII, and specifically, it's 2 events. It's getting the Omni Slash that Cloud has prior to when it's in the story, because that's just such a badass limit break to watch. But I think bigger than that is getting the Knights of the Round summon, because you had to go through so much to get that summon, because it's on this island surrounded by trees, so you can't land your airship there. You have to breed chocobos all the way up to the golden chocobo, because it's the only one that can go over the ocean and fly and go over trees. And to get to this little tiny cave where the only thing in the cave is a materia, and it's the Knight of the Round summon, which is one of the coolest summons, and the strongest in the game. So I think that's my achievement, is actually getting that summon materia because of the amount of work that goes into getting it. And Final Fantasy VII is better than Tactics.
My favorite video game accomplishment, and this came not as because I just didn't want to pursue anything before. It just came as this was something I felt like I had to see it done. And that was, I have 2 platinums on PlayStation, and they belong to Spider-Man and Spider-Man Morales. Miles Morales. Those are the only 2 platinums I have, the only 2 games that I wanted to finish completely and get the platinums on. So that's probably my favorite video game accomplishment, man. I love those games a whole lot. But that is it for the bonus question of the week for you guys. So go ahead and tell us, what's your favorite video game accomplishment of all time? You can tell us that at our good old Gmail, and that's playeduppodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, you can hit us at playeduppodcast on Twitter. You can also hit us on Instagram at playeduppodcast on Instagram. We have a TikTok as well, playeduppodcast over there. Feel free to hit us on up. Let us know what is your personal favorite video game accomplishment of all time. And please join us next week for episode 12. We'll be talking about TV shows that were canceled too soon. So be thinking about that, because we got a good topic for you next week. TV shows that have been canceled too soon. So if you want to listen to the podcast, go ahead and do so on Apple, Spotify, Google, and whatnot. And if you listen to us on Apple, go ahead and rate us, subscribe, let us know what's going on here, and just help out the podcast, man. We could use the love, and people want to know how we're doing, and we want to know how we're doing as well. So feel free to do that. But this has been another episode of the Played Up Podcast. I'm D High. These crazy people staring at you are the Coov and JD Hugh. We'll catch you next time. And as always, don't forget to play it up.
Play it up.